Selamünaleyküm. I'm inside today. The weather is crappy outside. Get closer. It doesn't have to be that far. Alright, Shalom. Shalom. For the fifth time, fourth time. We'll face the east. Before I get started with this live lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Ha-Rakakwadash, Yahweh being the true name of who the world ignorantly calls God. All right, that's the Heavenly Father's true name, Yahweh, which means He is the existing one. He's always been existing. All right, the Most High. All right, okay. And Yahweh Shai being the true name of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, His true name is Yahweh Shai. All right, okay. He comes in the Father's name, Yahweh Shai. Okay, which means He who delivers, the deliverer, the Savior. Okay. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS, Great Millstone and Ruel, and peace and salutations to the elect of the true nation of Israel, Yasharallah. All right, the topic of this live lesson is going to be about, earlier I was meditating on just like, on like these men out here, man, still simping, for these women. All right, they don't have these women figured out. All right, they don't understand women still to this day. In year 2025, there's men out there, all right, who are suffering with women. Okay, all right, they're suffering to get women. They're suffering with women. All right, as in like their women is giving them hell because they just don't know like the ins and outs of a woman. When it comes to their mindset. Okay, all right, they're confused. All right. Okay. They don't understand women. All right. And us men of the Lord. All right. We figured out you women. All right. We got you women figured out. All right. Thanks to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. Because it's in the Bible, man. Okay. You women. The Lord describes the mindset of a woman, the characteristics of a woman, women's nature. All right. Like you hear these MGTOW groups, men going their own way, talking about women's nature, blah blah blah. Hey, they get their philosophies and mindset from the Bible. All right, the men of Great Millstone. We're the true MGTOW, men going their own way. All right, we're going towards the way of the Lord. All right, which doesn't really include you women, man. The scriptures say the Lord dwells in the kingdom of men. Okay, men. All right, because that's the order, man. It's Yahweh, the Most High, Yahweh Shai, the Savior, and man, and then women. All right. That's the righteous order of the Lord, man. All right. Women are supposed to be under men. Okay. And if you don't understand that, and if you can't accept that, then you're gonna be in confusion. Your life is gonna suck when it comes to you and women, man. Because you're putting women equal to you or above you. All right. Women are always supposed to be under you, man. All right. When you walk into a grocery store or in a room and there's a woman there, and you gotta have the mindset that she's less than you, because she is. She's the weaker vessel. She is not as smart as you. There's always exemptions or exceptions. Yeah, a woman will have more knowledge than you in this place or that place, but overall, all right. In general, all right, women are not as smart as men. There's a lot of smart women, but overall, as a whole, men are smarter than women, man. All right, men are stronger. All right, they have more. Who's more known to faint? Women. There was a freaking, what is it? The Victorian age. Women were just fainting for fun. It was just a thing to do. Women still faint. All right. You see these grandmothers, these mothers, Latina mothers, they faint, and I just be like, how do you, like, I've never fainted before, man. You know, I mean, when I was a teenager, we did this one stupid game. We would like hold our breath or something, and then like we would faint, or I forgot what happened. I don't know, but I've never fainted before, you know. So like for somebody who could just faint because she saw something so scary or mighty, or you know, just the thought of something made her faint. Shoot, I'm not gonna get personal, you know, but well, why not? I'll tell my, you know, shoot, my woman, she gets anxiety attacks, man. All right, they're rare, you know, but she tells me, you know, sometimes she has dreams or just randomly, just gets anxiety attacks, you know. She tells me, you know, what they're about, you know, and she says, you know, they just hey, shalom, shalom. All right, Yahba Shem Yahshua Brakatah. All right, you know, my woman, you know, she just gets anxiety attacks, man. You know, um, how do you say it? She tells me about them. You know, she's like, I can't explain it. I don't know why. It's just for no reason. I get anxiety and start worrying about this task, random task that has nothing to do with anything, and she just starts worrying, and it's like the end of the world, and it has to be done. And she tells me like more specifics, and she's like, it's just this feeling. So you know, so you know, I know all women don't get that, but most women do. They get anxiety attacks. You know, me, you know, I just tell her, and she knows. You know, me and her talk, but you know, I tell her, hey, anxiety, you have to be, you have to have, you for you to have anxiety, it has to be, you have to be anxious over something. Something has to be, you know, causing you to have anxiety. And she knows that, you know, and now she has less anxiety attacks, you know. Like I said, you know, it was rare, and it's even more rare now for her. But you know, me growing up, I'm using myself as an example. Yeah, I would have anxiety, but there was always a reason why. Probably homework when I was a kid, or I didn't get this done, you know, or the thing that I need to get done is so impossible. It's just like I gotta like. There's some things that you can't consider doing, or you know, so you have anxiety, you know. But like me as a man, just thinking about having anxiety for no reason, you know, it's just a feeling, like for no reason, like you know, you have to have, how do you say it? When it comes to anxiety and you're anxious over something, you're anxious over this task, okay, and you have to get it done. All right, now the next process, instead of being anxious or being in this state of anxiety and freaking out, now you should think about what steps you can do to get that task done, or what, you know, to get rid of this anxiety, because there's always a source of anxiety, and that anxiety is something that, you know, you're having trouble with, or you know, something in life that's causing that anxiety, man. So you know, instead of being, you know, stuck in that anxiety, all right, that mindset of anxiety, all right, you think about little bit by little bit, what do I have to do here? What do I have to do here to get this done, so I don't be anxious no more, man? You know, instead of just being stuck there. And you know, that's the difference between men and women, man. Women are known for going to and getting therapists or having anxiety medication. You know, yeah, men do it too, but usually they're weak men, you know, or they're men that got issues, you know, blah blah blah. But it's usually women, you know. And hey, it's just what it is, man. You know, women are the weaker vessel. All right, their spirit isn't a man's spirit. They're a weaker spirit. They also have a weaker body. Overall, men are stronger than women. Overall, yeah, you'll get a stronger woman than a man, but overall, a man, you know, can do a number on a woman, man. You know, and I'm not trying to get graphic or nothing, but hey, you know, overall, you know, the strongest man compared to the strongest woman, it doesn't compare. You know, it's just what it is, man. Women are supposed to be weaker than us. Shoot, when you go into the word woman, you know, it means servant. Okay, okay. Women were created for the man and not the man for the woman. All right. So uh, a woman is supposed to be under a man. All right, and it's just simple as that, man. You know, it's not to put down women. All right, hey, you're under us. Ha ha ha. You know, yeah, you're the weaker vessel. Yeah, you don't have understanding as much as men. No, it's not even like that, man. A woman's role, when it comes to this truth, all right, being a woman of the Lord, you know, it's a beautiful role, man. All right, okay. The Lord created women for a reason, just as the Lord created man for a reason. Okay, it's just a man has been given a bigger portion. Okay, and it is what it is, man. It's, you know, just you know, you know, we always get on our women, our Israelite women, but it's because we love them, man. All right, most of our women are wicked as hell. All right, they're out of order. All right, and we have to get on them because that's what we're supposed to do. We get on our men too. All right, Israelite men, these Israelite camps and whatnot. We tell them that they're going off. You should be calling on the name of the Lord. Why aren't you calling on the name of the Lord when you know the name of the Lord? IUIC, you know, ISUPK. Why are you wearing all black and marching? I saw a TikTok earlier, a couple days ago. You know, they were doing marches and they were serious about it in a building wearing all black. I'm like, and there was a dude in a wheelchair too. I'm like, what the hell? What does this have to do with anything? So you know, we get on our men too, but hey. Don't get mad when we get on y'all women, you know, our Israelite women, you know, on y'all. It's, you know, it's needful. Our women are out of order, all right. They're whores, all right. They're not good mothers, all right, at all, okay. I'm talking about the wicked of our women, all right. I'm not talking about the right. If you're a righteous woman, if you're in order, if you're not doing any of the what I'm telling you, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it, man. Okay. So, but yeah, you know, yeah, the topic of this lesson is, you know, we got you women figured out, man. Thanks to Yahweh Shem Yahshai. So, none of these precepts are in order. So I'm gonna just let's see. Let's get Job 39. Book of Job 39, verse 13. Job 39 and 13, it says, Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich? Verse 14, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, all right, or that the wild beast may break them. She, speaking about our women, she is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because Yahweh, all right, God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. All right. All right. So yeah, the Lord, okay, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, I'm gonna read it again. Verse 17 says, because God hath deprived her of wisdom. All right. Women don't have as much wisdom compared to a man overall on average. Okay. All right. A woman's brain is wired different than a man's brain. Women's brains are wired to be a hive mind, do what everybody else is doing, you know, for the sake of safety. You know, that's just, you know, because women, they seek after safety and comfort. All right. And that's when it comes to survival, man. The Lord created a woman's mind to be like that, to seek safety, seek comfort, to seek out the easy route. All right. Do what everybody else is doing, because, you know, in like a tribe or you know, even nowadays, you know, it makes sense for a woman to seek out and do the things that everybody else is doing, like the fashion trends. Women don't come up with their own fashion trends. All right. They follow the whatever's fashionable, whatever's trendy at the time. Okay. They're followers. Women are natural followers, man. All right. And when you're a natural follower, and when you do what everybody else is doing, that's not wise. That's not somebody with a wise understanding. You know, that's just you going with the flow. You know, that's not a wise person. Doesn't mean you're smart. It's smart sometimes. You know, when it comes to survival, do what everybody else is doing, because, you know, most of the time everybody else is going to be doing that which will keep you going in society. You know, keep you alive. You know, the scriptures say, follow not a multitude to do sin. All right. See, the Lord controls this movie. All right. The Lord controls who survives. The Lord controls everything, man. All right. And the Lord, Yahweh Shai, told us not to follow a multitude to do sin. All right. And what do women do? They follow the trends. They follow whatever's most powerful. They follow the power. And who's most powerful right now? Who's in power of the world? The wicked. So of course, the majority of our women are going to be wicked because that's what's powerful right now. Okay, they're following after the ways of the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, the heathens. Okay, that's why they're wearing pants. All right, they're you know, single mom life, the single woman life. All right, hot girl summer. You know, wearing these weaves. All right, okay. Having all these kids and then kicking the man out the house so she can have benefits. All right, you know, etc. Man. All right, eating unhealthy, eating unlawful foods. Okay, okay. And you wonder why they stink. You know, our women are wicked. All right, they're following after what's powerful right now, wickedness, and you wonder why they're in this low state, this wicked state that they're in. Okay. So the Lord has departed, all right, taken away wisdom out of women, all right? All right, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. So women, they don't have like understanding, man. They can't separate themselves from a topic. Everything's so subjective with them. How, and that's just how women are, man. You know, women they're subjective. They're not objective. See, a man can be objective. He could also be subjective, but overall, men, they could grasp they could grasp being objective instead of subjective. Subjective is the subject, you, all right, a person. All right, when you're objective, it's a mission. It's overall, it's more than you. All right, in this truth, in this world, all right, it's objective. Okay, all right, and women have a really hard time separating themselves from a topic. When people talk about something, women always include themselves or what it has to do with her. Does it benefit her? You know, does this man benefit me? You know, in any type of way? You know, which hey, it's natural for a woman to feel like that because that's how the Lord created them, man. All right, to be subjective, okay, and ultimately, women that's a person with less understanding, a weaker vessel, man. Okay. All right, the Lord has created women like that, man, because they're the weaker vessel. All right, see, men, their minds are different. You know, they're more broad and vast. You know, we can separate ourselves from the topic and look at the greater purpose, the greater mission, the greater objective. Okay, all right. This truth is more than just us. Okay, that's why we put off our will, what we want to do. Okay, and we do the will of the Lord. Okay, see, women, they want to do what they want to do, man. All right, when it comes to this truth, they want to, does this truth benefit me? Does this man of the Lord who follows after Yahweh Shai, does he benefit me? You know, is he going to give me a Louis bag, a nice car? Is he going to take me out on dates and go to the club and take pictures with me on the holidays? You know, are we going to be like the rest of the world? If they don't say that word for word, that's what they mean, you know. Is he going to buy me this, you know? Is he going to show me off in front of my friends? Is he going to take me out on dates, nice dates, and give me flowers? You know, is he going to celebrate Christmas with me and take all these pictures? And, you know, that's what women think about, man. Is he going to buy me this on Valentine's Day? Is he going to surprise me? That's what women give a fuck about, man. They don't care about the Lord. The Lord says to not follow after these holidays. He will not smell and listen. He will not smell your solemn assemblies and listen to your music in those days. Talking about these holidays, which they should be called holidays, because they're the celebrations and the high holy days of the wicked, you know. And these women care about Christmas, Thanksgiving, all right, Easter. I believe today's Easter. You know, fuck Easter, man. Everything's closed. You know, this ain't the Passover. The Passover, you know, already happened, man. Okay, this is the Passover according to the so-called white man. Okay. I believe that's what Easter is, you know. Oh no. Because I don't care. There's nothing to do with Yahweh Shai Shai. A rabbit laying eggs. What the hell? You know? You know, women want to take pictures on every holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July. They want to go swimming and then take pictures with in these little dainty little swimming suits with, you know, they're basically naked. These little straps, little, you know, got their cleavage showing, you know, these leggings with their legs and butt showing. All right, they want to be shown off. All right, they want to be seen. The scriptures say to not have a woman suffer not a woman to gad abroad. You know, go about, girls' night out. You know, why do girls go to clubs? Why do they go partying? Why do they go with their girlfriends? So they can be seen by other men. All right, get attention, sexual attention from other men. You know, like these MGTOW groups say, they want sexual attention. That's why they don't need sex. Okay, all right, because the attention from other men, it fills them up. All right, yeah, women still need to be popped. But overall, you know, shoot, these women, they got options nowadays, man. All right, they could go to what's his name? They could go to these I don't know, Chad, and get it from him, you know, and then get the date bought for them, whatever they want bought from him by a simp, you know. All right, he buys everything for her, but she goes to Chad because he's 6 foot tall with big old pecs and abs and muscles and shoulders. He's got a Cadillac and whatnot, you know, a nice car, but he ain't got nothing going for him. He's still living with his parents. All right, okay, working at fucking McDonald's, you know, but he's got a chain on. He deals drugs. He's exciting. All right, you know, but he does nothing for her other than the excitement, you know, emotional roller coaster and whatnot. And then he knows how to lay down the pipe because he does the same thing with these other women, and he's also dealing with other women, and that's it. That, you know, women like that. They like men that have multiple women who can get multiple women because remember, they have a hive mind. They like to do what every other woman is doing. All right. Oh, she likes him. Oh, I gotta get with him. I gotta get some of him. I gotta get his attention. When this dude's ugly as hell, he's got a pot belly. He drives a busted up truck. Not knocking any man who got busted up trucks. You know, or not a pot belly. You know, but he's got nothing going for him. He's wicked as hell. You know, he's ugly as hell. You know, out of shape. You know, he's an alcoholic, but he gets all the women because, you know, but she wants him because these other women like him. You know, I've seen that growing up, man. You know, I'm like, these bitches like him. You know, just slacky for my language, but these bitches like him. You know, this dude ugly as hell. You know, but they like him. It's because, you know, he's got like charisma or something. You know, he's working good somewhere else. He's probably got money. You know, he's got charisma or he's funny. You know, but this dude's ugly as hell. You know, got a messed up haircut. You know, just ugly, busted up shoes. But he gets more women, you know, than the next dude who's actually, you know, fair looking. You know, but you know, that's just how women are. They go with the flow. They go with where every else other woman is going, man. You know. So Stocky for the righteous rant. You know, it's just how women are, man. You know, we got you women figured out thanks to Yahweh Shem Shai. All right. So next precept. Let's stay on topic. Women. Okay, yeah, Sirach 3. That was Sirach 36. Sirach 36 and 25, 21, Slakia. And it says, Sirach 36 and 21, it says, a woman will receive every man, yet is one daughter better than another. All right. So a woman will receive every man. All right. You know, you'll get with the woman, you'll date a woman, and you know she'll tell you her history. You know, when it comes to other men, and you'll be freaking disgusted. You'll be like, you got with him, and then you know, and knowing him, you know, the guy that she got with, you know, her track record, for lack of better words, you know, the men she dealt with before you, you know, and you'd be disgusted because like these women, they'll deal with just the most random men. They'll deal with men that she'll like because he has nice shoes, but he's trashing everywhere else, man. He don't got no job or something, or he has a lot of money, but he's out of shape or something, or just because he has a nice chain, or because he has a jawline or facial features that she likes, but he's ugly everywhere else, physically, financially. He don't know how to talk, or he's rude, or he's wicked as hell. He stinks. Or she'll get with the man just because he smells good, but he sucks everywhere else. Women will receive every man just because she likes him for his nose. I like his nose. This man doesn't even have a job, or he's in debt, or he's got busted up shoes, or he's a pedo or something like that. There's women. Shoot, I've seen. There's women. They deal with pedos, man. You know, because he could give women. I'm like what the hell? Like what the hell? Like women are weird, man. Not weird, but they'll receive any man. All right. If he tickles her fancy, in some type of way, oh, I like his muscles, or I like his tattoos. I want a man with tattoos. And then a month later, she gets with the man with no tattoos, but he fears God. Yeah, he believes in God. He's a Christian. He goes to church because she's in the mood for a God-fearing man that month. And then the next month, she gets with the man, a Latino dude. Or the next month, she gets with the so-called black man or Asian man, or dude that fights, or a baller, a basketball player, or a football player, So that's what it means when it says a woman will receive every man. All right, whatever they feel, they'll go with, instead of doing what's right, instead of getting with the man that will actually benefit her and her family. All right, that's why in the ancient days, and how it should be right now. All right, but this world's ruled by wickedness. A woman's father decides where that woman is married, to whom what man she's married to for the rest of her life. Yes, I said it, rest of your life. All right, because that's how it's supposed to be. That's what the scriptures say. The scriptures say a woman's supposed to be with that man until he's dead, for the rest of her life. And that's how it's going to be in the kingdom. You Israelite women, you're going to be with one man forever. All right, it is just what it is, and you're going to love it. You're not going to be like tired of him. Like, I see this man all the time. I want another man. You're going to be in the right mindset. You're going to love seeing that man every time you see him. All right. No, you're not going to see him every day. All right, because an Israelite man's going to have multiple wives in the kingdom, as we should now. But hey, we live in this wicked world. Women got dominion over us. The scriptures say a woman shall compass a man. All right, women, they decide. That's why women, they get pissed and whatnot, and they could call the cops because this man was flirting with her or another woman. They call that adultery. That's not adultery. Adultery is when a man sleeps with another man's wife, or when a woman sleeps or deals with or cheats on a man, because a man can't cheat. Let's say it the Bible, man. Well, it doesn't say that literally. A man can't cheat, but a woman can have a man can have multiple wives, man. Look at our forefather Jacob when his name was changed to Israel. All right, how many wives did he have? All right, he had concubines. He had the 12 tribes. All right, with multiple women. Okay, and those women were jealous of each other. All right, just as nowadays, man. Women get jealous. All right, but back then in the ancient days, Jacob, he had authority over his whole household, man. All right, over every single woman. His concubines and his wives. All right, And back then, if a woman said, bucked up against anything a man said, or laid her hands on any man, or gave a man a hard time, a man will punish her. All right, and they didn't have rules against that back then in the ancient days. Oh, a man, you laid your hands on a woman, all right, you're going to prison forever. All right, and you get beat up in prison. All right, because those prison inmates, well, what do they do in prison? So I was watching it last night. I was watching videos of men. What happens to men, all right, in prison that have charges? They have charges that have to do with anything with women. All right, they get their ass beat or beat up so much or so badly unto death. All right, or they try to unalive you by beating you, man. All right, just because you have a charge when it comes to a woman. All right, okay. They don't even consider or sit you down. All right, and ask you what happens. They're always gonna take the woman's side. That's how it is in prison, man. That's how wicked this fucking world is, man. All right. Okay, back in the ancient days, a man could whip his wife with the whip, or knock her on her head, man. All right, punch her or whatever if she's going off. Because if a man's doing that just because he feels like it, hey, that's a wicked man. All right. But if a woman bucks up against him, all right, and starts being evil towards that man, the man, all right, has the right to do so, man. Bro, I'm not saying doing it now. Don't do it now because you're gonna end up in prison. All right. It's just not. It's not. No. Don't lay your hand. The scriptures say don't. The scriptures say lay your hands on no man suddenly. And that goes for your women too, man. All right. All right. That's talking about now. Don't be laying your hands on anybody, man. All right. Shalom. Yahba Shem Yahshua Barakatah. All right. So you know, yeah, we got the authority over women. Thus saith the Bible, but that doesn't mean, you know, to be laying your hands on your woman. All right, nowadays, man. Okay, because we don't have the power now. Okay, because you know your woman she could say she's a righteous woman. You know, she's under the authority of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. You know, she's with it. She's with the truth. She will do anything you say. But once y'all argue, let y'all get into an argument, man, and bang, you know, she'll call the cops on you. You know, a woman's mindset will change like that. You know. All right, it's like I'm thirsty, but Slocky. Forgot those are carbonated. Got me some Slocky. I got me some kombucha. All right, I was swallowing that like it was water. But yeah, man, you know, I'm just spiritually ranting, you know. It's like it for the spiritual rants, but hey, man, we got you women figured out, man. All right, you know, one day you'll be a righteous woman. All right, you're with the shit. You're with this truth. All right, you know, you'll listen to your man, blase. You know, I'll be under subjection. You know, I'll be under you, under all subjection. All right, I'll call you my Lord. This and that, you know. But then the next day, you know, she'll go off. She'll be wicked, you know, trying to force you to eat pork. Just as an example. I'm not saying my woman will do that, your woman will do that. You know, just, you know, it goes to those far extremes sometimes, man. All right. You know. Slakia. All right, verse 22. All right, Sirach 36 and 22. It says, the beauty of a woman cheereth the countenance, and a man loveth nothing better. All right, you know, this is how it is, man. Men love the beauty of a woman, man. A man will go out of his wits for a woman, you know. So that's why that's another reason why the Lord created women the way they are. All right, for us. All right, the Lord made women beautiful. All right, not all women beautiful, you know, but the Lord made women beautiful the way they are for us, so we could lust after them, so we could love them, you know, women with big chests and big behinds, you know, this and that, man. You know, the way they talk, the way they walk, you know, do they little thing, they move when they talk and whatnot. I know, you know, you notice women, you know, when they talk, most of the time they move their face and blah blah blah. Sometimes I'll be staring at my woman, you know, when she talks to me. She's like, "Why are you staring at me?" I'm like, "Hey, you know, I love our women, man. You know." Verse 23 says, "If there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue," all right, the things that she say, "then is not her husband like other men." So if you're acting like a righteous woman of Yahweh Shem Shai, okay, if you're really meek and humble and about this truth and subservient to your man, all right, you know, treat him like you he's your Lord, all right. It says, then is not her husband like other men, you know. That man's gonna be strong, You know, he's gonna because you're gonna be helping him out. He's gonna be sleeping good, stress free. Okay. Okay. He's gonna be able to do his what he has to do. You're gonna be helping him out, and my woman helps me out. You know, this and that, but she also gives me a hard time sometimes. But that's neither here nor there. But that man's gonna be like other men. He's not gonna be like other men. He's gonna be stronger. Okay. All right, because he's gonna have your help. Okay, you're gonna be helping him out. All right, cooking. All right, taking things off his hands when he could be focusing on the truth, man. All right, all he has to do is focus on working and being a man. Okay, you're taking care of the children. Are you rubbing his back or um, doing whatever he wants needed to be done that you could do for him? You know, that man, his life is gonna be so much easier, and he's gonna be stronger. All right, and not weaker like these other men who have women who are stressing him out. All right, women nagging him, women arguing with him. All right, you know, stressing him out because she wants things done her way and not the way the man wants, as it should be. Okay, okay. If you want to serve the Lord, if you say you're a God fearing woman, you love Yahweh Shemi Shai. All right, you're gonna be doing everything you can. All right, to serve your man as if he's your Lord. All right, you need to be cooking for him, taking care of him. All right, when he gets home from work, all right, you're gonna be making his life easier and not arguing. Okay, let him talk. Let him relax. Sit on the couch and relax for a second and gather his mind. Take a nap and whatnot while you clean up or I don't know, massage his feet or something like that. Me, I don't care about massages, man. I'll just hit the gym and stretch and I don't but how do you say it? Cooking him some good food. All right. What else? Not arguing with him, not asking him so many questions, nagging him, just stuff like that, man. All right. You're gonna be that pillar of rest. And you know what a pillar of rest is? Imagine a pillar right here, and you're just leaning on it. Just chilling. That's how a woman is supposed to be towards her man. Okay. Okay. That's what you're gonna be doing if you believe in God, so-called God, man. Yahweh Shemi Shai. All right. Verse 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. All right. These aren't my words. These are the words of the Bible, man. All right. He that getteth a wife getteth a possession. All right. That's how a woman is towards a man. All right. Once you guys make love for the first time, all right, that's it. You guys are locked in for life. All right. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay. You're his, not he's yours. All right. And I'm gonna get into other precepts that back that up. That a woman is made for the man and not the man for the woman. A woman is the man's servant. Okay, and it's not like a servant, or you step on her, or you got her in chains, or you whip her, or she, or how do you say she only talks when you tell her. Nah, man, it's not like that. It's just when you take it like that because you don't want to listen to a man. You want to be free, willy-nilly. You want to do whatever you want. Do what thou wilt, like Satan. All right, because you women love Satan. All right, you love to follow the power because what's in power right now? Satan, wickedness. All right, and the mindset of Satan is do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt. Do whatever you want. That's why you get these women all fucked up in the mind, man. All right. Okay, doing whatever they want, and you wonder why their lives suck. They all got therapists. They're on medication, all right? Because they're doing what they want instead of doing what the Lord wants, doing what their man wants. Verse 25, there, it's like where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. And he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning. Verse 26, who will trust a thief? Oh, let's go into something else. I wanted to end it off right there. Let me see. All right, 1 Corinthians 11. 1 Corinthians 11:3. It says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, or Yahweh Shai, and the head of the woman is the man. Okay? It's not the other way around. It's not the head of the man is the woman. It's not the woman and the man are equal. No, the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Yahweh Shai is Yahweh. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get verse a little bit down to verse 8. 1 Corinthians 11:8. It says, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Verse 9, neither was the man created for the woman, all right, but the woman for the man, all right. Khan, it's plain as day, all right. Did not the Lord create Eve out of Adam's rib, all right, okay. All right, basically saying, did not the Lord make, is not the woman the servant of the man, all right, created to serve the man, all right, all right. That's why the Lord created women, to be a servant unto the man, okay, plain as day. Okay. Let's get 1 Timothy, all right. All right, 1 Timothy 2:9, it says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. And this is what these women do nowadays, man. They got these Louis bags, they got this expensive this and that and gold, earrings and whatnot, look, but not to dress, they got their cleavage showing, the most expensive shoes, high heels, wearing legs, got their form, their body showing, skin tight, No, it says to be in modest apparel with shamefacedness. And what is that? Not looking around like this, like when the scriptures say, women with, where is it? Slaki, let me get that. Wanton eyes. That's how you spell it. Yeah, Isaiah 3:16. It says, moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, all right, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, all right, and walking with mincing as they go and making a tinkling with their feet, all right. You know how women got those bracelets on their shoes. I mean on their ankles, and it tinkles. Those metal bracelets on their ankles. Sometimes they got those shoes where they got the little jewelry on them or whatever. Shoot, there's Jordans like that now where they got the little woman's jewelry around the laces and whatnot. And it goes back to the scriptures, man. Walking around all scurrying around, not scurrying, but like, how women walk pretty fast, man, and they giggle like this, making fun of you or whoever, man, and it says with stretched forth necks, all right, and wanton eyes, all right, stretched forth necks. How women, they be like this, all proud with their women, womanness, for lack of better words, stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes. So let me look it up on Google, man, all right. You know what I mean by wanton eyes? All right. Women always looking like this, looking to see who's looking at her butt, her chest, you know, or her cleavage, you know, who's giving me attention. Oh, he gave me attention, you know, wonton eyes like that, you know, um, like this, yeah, that, you know, you brothers know, you know, women, you just mind your business. You're looking around at your surroundings. You just entered into a room and bang, there's a woman across the room giving you wonton eyes, man, like that, looking at you like that, you know. And you're like, okay, whatever, man. It's because she wants your attention or she wants some out of you, you know. You know. Let me see if there's any better women. You know, that's how our women are, man. You know, looking around, you know, especially the black woman, man. You know, the N-dub, all right. Seeing who's looking at her, you know. So, Khan. I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that. That precept later. You know. What is it? So let's get into it right now. Ecclesiasticus, Sirach 26. Yep, Proverbs 31:3. I'm gonna get into that. You know. But yeah, you know, our women. We got you women figured out, man. All right, thanks to Yahweh Shem Shai, you know, or the things, the characteristics, and the things that you women do and act like. All right, it's written in the Bible, you know. Okay, that you women will be acting like this, and mostly this is the characteristics of a wicked woman, man. All right, well, you know, that's not being shamefaced. When a woman's got wonton eyes and got a stretched forth neck as being proud, women can be proud too, you know. All right, a woman's supposed to be humble, you know, shamefaced with her head covered, you know, only looking at her husband or looking, you know, not at other men, you know. That's shamefaced, man. You know, shy. You know, when a man talks to her, she's shy. You know, she's not loud. What do you want? You know, this and that. You know, a loud voice, so she can be heard by every other man in the room. You know, we got you women figured out, man. We understand you women. Thanks. Thus saith the Bible. Thanks to Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, all right. So back to what was I? Was it Timothy? Yeah, 1 Timothy 2:9. It says, with shamefacedness and sobriety, you know, nobody wants a woman that smokes weed or is a drunk. You know, that's unattractive, man. You know, there's nothing wrong with women, you know, having a sip of alcohol here and there, but being a drunk, no, man, that's wicked anyway. That's a sin anyway. You know, you definitely ain't supposed to be smoking weed. That goes for any man or woman. You know, okay. You know, so being sober, being in the right mind, basically, man. You know, a woman with the right mind, not here and there, you know, or always drunk or something like that, man, or drunk off this world, you know. You could be drunk off the philosophies of this world, man. All right, even men can. Okay, verse 10 it says, but which becometh women professing godliness with good works. All right, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. All right, let the woman learn in silence under all subjection. Okay, not let the woman stand at the podium of church and let her talk, or have a woman speak in the church, asking women questions and whatnot. You know, no, man. Let them be quiet. And if they have anything to ask, let's get it. Verse 12 says, but I suffer not a woman to teach. What did it say? But I suffered not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man. All right, but to be in silence. Verse 13, for Adam was first formed, then Eve, because that's the righteous order, man, and then the woman under us. Verse 14, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman but the woman being deceived was in transgression. All right, because women, they're easily beguiled. Was not Eve beguiled by the snake, by the heathen? All right, which was Esau before he was Esau. Esau before he was white, so-called white, non-melanated. All right, he was like, you won't surely die. And what he meant by that is you don't have to keep those laws and commandments to listen to your God. You won't die if you don't keep the Sabbath. You won't die if you get this tattoo. You won't die if you eat this pork, this piece of pork. Eat it, man. See, I ate it. I'm good. Did I die? You won't die if you smoke this blunt. He smokes a blunt, gets high. She smokes a blunt, she gets high. She's happy. Like, oh yeah, it's like it. But that's what the serpent. So the serpent, all right, which was a man with the philosophies of the world, beguiled Eve with, tricked her, all right, and she was like, okay, I'll take that blunt. Okay, I'll eat that pork. I'll eat that shrimp. Okay, I'll get a tattoo. Okay, I'll wear pants. Okay, I won't have my head covered. Okay, I'll have a short haircut like a man. You know. Okay, I'll start talking loud or having wonton eyes, or okay, I'll deal with another man. That's what the serpent was saying to her. You know, in the book of Genesis, man. Okay. Verse 14, but yeah, verse 15. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. So women are saved in childbearing. That's the woman's role, to give birth, bear children. Okay, that's one of the beautiful roles of a woman. Men aren't supposed to give birth. They don't get pregnant. That's not a role of a man. And what does this world do? What is the so-called white? What did the white man do, man? Okay, what did he do? He somehow made men give birth to children somehow, some way. You see those accounts on YouTube, and this man is pregnant with he's got a seed. It's like it, but yeah. But it says, but the woman being deceived was in transgression, man. So yeah, man. Women are easily deceived. All right, and, that's that's just how their spirit is. All right, they're tricked. Like I said earlier, like the scriptures say earlier. They'll receive every man. A man will pull a woman, will pull a girl because he knows how to talk. He knows how to talk. He's got he knows his ways with words, for lack of better words. He's got his way with words, man. All right, he'll be ugly, short as hell. Got nothing going for him. At all. But he knows how to talk. Okay. Yeah, they're grown ass children, man, and you can do the same thing with children, man. Children are easily beguiled. You can tell them anything, they'll believe it. That's how women are, man. Not all women, but the majority of women, they're grown ass children, man. All right, they're basically children with tits, and and that's it. When you really think about it, okay. One thing I did get out of MGTOW, they say the apostles say it too, but one thing I got is start looking at women as children. Like put away all their beauty away, like the scriptures say, to not follow after a woman's beauty. Roughly paraphrasing. I'm gonna get into that later, but look at them as if they're just children, and they'll start crumbling, man. All right, you talk to them and whatnot, just as if they're like children or something. You won't be as like trembling or how do you say it? You won't get those butterflies in your stomach. It'll be easier to talk to a woman. Because you see them as a child, and they act like a child, man. But hey, that's just how they are, man. The Lord created them like that. I don't want to get anything else. Isaiah 13. All right. Isaiah 13 and 17. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna read a little bit more. It says, "Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab of the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion. The Lord will discover her secret parts." All right. What does that mean? The Lord will He will smite with a scab the crown of the head. All right. That's talking about um that's talking about you so-called N-dubs, you black women, man. All right, y'all can't grow your hair out, man. Okay, it's because you guys get these perms and you mess up your hair follicles. All right, and the Lord has cursed you, and y'all can't grow hair. All right. Okay, some black women just can't grow hair at all, man. Okay, because the Lord has cursed you women, you Israelite women, because y'all are wicked. Okay, y'all can't grow your hair no more, man. There's some that do, but there's a big portion of black women that they cannot grow their hair out, you know. Um, so I'm gonna get 1 Corinthians 14. This is for Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace in all the churches of the saints. Verse 34, it says, "Let your women keep silence in the churches." It doesn't say let your women talk or have an opinion in the church. All right, asking women for advice. No, let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. So when you women go out there to the highways and byways and talk to us, you know, all loud and have these opinions, the Lord says, keep silence. The Lord says, shut up. All right? Shut your mouth. All right? But to be under obedience. That's how it is. That's how the Lord wants it, man. All right? If you say you fear the Lord, you believe in God, that's what you're going to be doing, man. You're going to be keeping silence and talking when a man tells you to talk. Literally, that's how it is, man. Okay? That's how it's supposed to be. All right? Yes, we understand, you know, when women come up to us out there to the highways and byways and we're preaching or even on the comment board, all right, we have mercy upon y'all. We let y'all talk or give us questions, man, because we understand that you women, all of us, we grew up in this wicked world where women are permitted to speak, where they have an opinion, you know. So, you know, that women have rights and whatnot, which they shouldn't be, you know. But hey, we understand that you women grew up in this American lifestyle, this American mindset. So we understand. And plus, you know, our women don't know better now, you know. So yeah, we're gonna let y'all talk, let y'all ask questions and whatnot. But once y'all start getting out of hand and out of order, and not letting us speak and answer your questions, and you keep asking more and more questions, you know, that's when we're gonna tell you to shut up, go down the street, or we're gonna bring out the precepts that condemn y'all, or we're just gonna straight up ignore you, man. Okay? Because you're going out of order, you're being out of order. All right. We could really just ignore y'all or tell y'all to be quiet and be in silence, like the Bible, like I just read. All right. But we gotta teach our women too. Our women are out of order too. All right. You know, they don't know better, so we gotta let them know. All right. But once y'all go out of order, all right, and not listen to what we just told y'all and taught you, all right, and don't want to listen, bang, you know, then we're gonna tell you to walk down the street and get away from us, man. All right. Verse 35, it says, "And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak into the in the church." All right. You believe in God, right? All right. So you say you're a God-fearing woman, all right? You're supposed to, if you want to ask anything, ask of your husband at home, man. Okay? Let them ask of their husbands at home. All right? For it is a shame to be speaking in church. Okay? Um, I want to get Sirach 26. I'm gonna get Sirach 25. Oh, I'll get First Peter, and then I'm gonna get Sirach. First Peter 3 verse 6. All right, First Peter 3 and 6. This is even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Verse 7, it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife. All right, as we do, as we're supposed to do. We're supposed to honor our wife, man. Okay, take care of her. Love her according to the commandments, man. All right, as unto the weaker vessel. All right, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. All right, so the woman is the weaker vessel, man. All right, she's gonna faint, literally sometimes. She's gonna freak out sometimes. She doesn't have as much strength as you. All right, the Lord has departed her from wisdom. She's not gonna be smart as you sometimes. Most of the time will not separate herself from the topic. It's gonna seem like everything revolves around her. What about me? What about the kids? What about this and that? Why can't blah blah? She's gonna nag you. Because she's the weaker vessel, man. All right. She's gonna have anxiety attacks. Demons are gonna hop on her more often. She's gonna have more bad. My woman has bad dreams way more than me. When she has a bad dream, she freaks out. When I have a bad dream, I tell her about it, and or so-called bad dream. But she always wants me to. Sometimes I come out here and sleep on the couch because like it gets hot in there, and we still got our baby boy sleeping in our room and whatnot. He's young and whatnot. Sometimes it gets hot in here. I come out here, or sometimes our sleep schedules are off or different. And she always wants me to go in there, when she has a bad dream and whatnot. Women are the weaker vessels. They have, demons hop on them. Their mind is as the wind. It's this way, it blows this way, and then the next, 5 seconds from now, it's gonna blow that way. One thought, she's thinking about something, or she's in a good mood, thinking about this, and then an hour later, she's totally pissed. She wants nothing to do with you. She wants to do something totally different. That's why it's common. What is the thing between men and women when it comes to going out? What do you want to eat? It's a joke now. It's like a funny, cute little joke. You see it on TikTok. Couples be like, "What do you want to eat?" It's just been a known thing that men and women always argue about what they want to eat. Like, where do you want to go out to eat? Because a man's mindset is different than a woman's mindset. A woman always wants you to decide. A man should never ask a woman where she wants to eat. I mean, sometimes, because if you don't give a damn, you'll eat anywhere. Sometimes I, as a man, literally don't care where I want to eat. I'll eat anything under the law of Yahweh Shem Shai, But a woman will still argue in that, she knows damn well that she has a favorite place to eat. All right, she wants to eat there today at this time. But when you ask her where do you want to eat, she's gonna be like, I don't know, be indecisive, blah blah blah. You know, you decide, like, I don't care. You pick, man. You know, okay, let's eat at Wendy's. Well, not Wendy's. Let's eat at this place. You know, no, I don't want to eat there. Blah blah blah. Even though she just told you to decide for her. You know, so don't even ask women. Man. It's because women they have a different mindset than us, man. They're the weaker vessel, man. Okay. That's why they're supposed to be under subjection, under us men. Do what we say, all right, at all times, man. You decide where you want to eat, man. Okay, she like a righteous woman is gonna like and follow you. She's gonna like what you want, what you like. All right. Since me and my woman been together, she's liked her. She starts liking. She's been liking things that I like. You know. She had her own little favorite things to do, hobbies and whatnot. Now she likes doing, not for the most part, but there's instances where she likes doing what I like doing, man. So I like hiking. Shoot, me and her, I bought her some hiking shoes, man. I like Kobe Bryant shoes, the Nike Kobe's. I bought her a couple. I bought her some a couple weeks ago. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, man. She loves them. She likes working out in them. You know, she's never been a hiking person. She's like, okay, let's go hiking, blah, blah, blah. I send her TikToks, she's like, okay, let's go. I like that, And that's how women are, man. They like their followers, man. They're natural followers, man. Okay? All right? I'm gonna get Judges 16 and 16. Well, actually, before that, I'm gonna get this. What was it? Proverbs 31 and 3? 31 verse 3. It says, Proverbs 31 and 3, it says, give not thy strength unto women, all right, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings, okay? You hear what it said? You hear what the Bible says? Proverbs 31 and 3 says, give not thy strength unto women. And what does the so-called white man do? He hires these women in these high roles, all right, these CEO positions, all right. And I was meditating earlier on the, before I started this lesson. I'm going into the topic of like video games, man. One of my favorite video games that I play, it was ruined. It was messed up. It could have been way better, but they wanted to put feminist ideologies, feminist things in the game. I believe I have a little conspiracy theory myself that they hired women in high roles of that, the position of the video game that I play, and they do it with other video games, man. They put these women in these in authority in positions in society that they shouldn't be in, man. All right. And what happens? Women are ruled by their emotions, and they mess things up. They revolve things around them, and things don't get done. All right. Okay, as they should, because women aren't supposed to be in those positions, man. Women aren't supposed to be given power. That's why it says, give not thy strength unto women, all right? Women are not natural born leaders, they're natural born followers, okay? That's why this world is the way it is, because women have been given rights, all right? All right, it's so messed up to the point where women have been given so many rights, and what do women have? What have been women doing with those rights? They're trying to get more rights. We're in the time where women have more rights than any woman has had throughout history. And what are they doing? What are feminists doing? They're asking for more rights. Women's rights, women's rights. Motherfucker, y'all got more rights than any woman in history, man. 100 years ago, what were women doing? They're still getting, slapped across the head if they spoke to the men a certain way, Well, where's women's rights then, Equality, equality. So when we give y'all equal rights, the equal judgment, the equal rights as a man, no, that's not equal. We have to be over you men. So like, what is it, man? You know, we got you women figured out, man. Y'all can't handle authority. Y'all can't handle power. All right. The scriptures say, "Give not thy strength unto women," because of things like that. They're gonna ask more and more and more and more. They're gonna treat the power that you give them as a child would treat it, man. As if it's a toy. They're gonna break it and not appreciate it. You know. I'm gonna use my son as an example. He's got tons of toys. He's got more toys than I ever had. As a I had a maybe he's got the same amount of toys that I've had throughout my whole childhood, and he's only 1.5. He doesn't even know how to speak yet. He says words, but he doesn't know what he's saying yet. We buy him toys, and he gets bored with them, and the next day, he plays with that toy for like a week, and hey, he needs another toy. So and that's how women are, man. All right, they get a man, and they're bored with them. On to the next man. They don't appreciate nothing, man. When women, like the scripture said, a woman's supposed to be with that man for the rest of her life anyway. But that's what happens when you give women your strength. That's why you shouldn't be giving women your strength, man. Don't give your strength unto women, because they're gonna treat it like a child will treat it, like a child will treat a toy. Break it when that toy was like $50. It's an expensive toy. What did that kid do with it? Runs it through the mud, breaks it and cries, "I want another one," shit like that, man. So I was gonna buy him some shoes yesterday, and my woman got mad because I said no, because they're white, not all white, but they're pretty white. And I told her, "Babe, this boy goes in and out of the house, playing in the dirt with his cousins, and they're just gonna get dirty, And she's like, "Yeah, you're right, because kids, they don't, kids play, and really kids at that age, they don't care about having their shoes all nice and clean. It doesn't matter to them, and good for them. Kids are supposed to be playing, getting dirty, that builds their immune system. They're out in the elements, all right, and that makes a healthy child, man. But that's how a woman is with the power and strength that you give them, all right. They treat it like a kid. They run it through the muck, they're running it over, like they treat it like it's nothing, all right. Some don't, some appreciate it, but overall, women are supposed to be in leadership roles, man, all right. Because like I was talking about earlier about these video game companies, they're messed up now. Video game companies suck, because some of those video game franchises, they've given women high roles, like as CEOs and whatnot, and authority over those video games. And now there's feminist ideologies in these video games, and nobody wants to play those games no more, because it's not about like how fun the game is. It's about women's rights. Why isn't there a woman in this role? Why isn't there a woman as the main character? Why can't a woman be Spider-Man? Blah blah blah, like shit like that, man. And nobody wants to play a video game like that, man. Where a woman's beating down on these big brolic ass dudes, man. It just don't make sense. It's like not even fun no more, man. And for an example, man. All right. So I'm gonna get Judges 16:16. All right. It says, "And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death." And this is what will happen to you when you give women your strength, man. They will vex you unto death if they don't get what they want, man. And even then, when you give them what they want, they're gonna get mad at you because you gave it to them. Because it was so easy. You gave them what they wanted, and it was so easy, they get mad, like, that was easy, man. Really? You're not gonna make it hard for me? You're not gonna excite me? They're not gonna surprise me? Come on, I want a challenge. When people always say women want challenges, they like a challenge in a man, But if you make it too challenging, they get mad or blah blah blah. And if it's not challenging enough, blah blah blah. How women are, man. They're not happy. Neither way, man. They're not happy when you give them your power, man. All right. It's because they're happiest when they're following you. Okay. If they're not happy instantly, they're eventually going to be happy when they start following their man. Slakia, you know. It says, so that his soul was vexed unto death, and a woman will drive a man to death, you know, commit suicide, unalive his whole family, because that woman will nag him to death for whatever reason, man. You know, okay, a man will end up in prison, ruin his whole life because that woman will nag him and nag him, take him to court, make his life a living hell, because that's just how wicked women could be, man. All right, it says, when she pressed him daily with her words, all right, women will do that, man. Call you all types of this and that, not make no sense. Say this and then say something totally different. You know, not make any sense, and it makes a man pissed because men we take comfort in understanding, in truth. Women, they're not truthful, man. For the most part, they'll lie. Let me get that. Where's it at? I think it's Sirach, yeah, 25, Salakia. Sirach 25, verse 13. Yep, Sirach 25 and 13. It says, give me any plague, all right? Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, all right? Slovakia, all right? Because the wickedness of a woman will far exceed the wickedness of a man. Because women, they don't have boundaries, man. You know, they'll give you, they'll shoot, they'll punch you, they'll give you low blows, man. All right, all right. They have no, was it morality? All right, standards. No, is that the right word? They just shoot a lot of low blows, man. All right. Okay. Even when it comes to men, all right. When men fight, you know, we got standards, man. All right. We got morality, you know, about us, man. All right. You know, we're not gonna do things. We're not gonna do certain things when it comes to a man fighting against another man. You know, shooting low blows. Yeah, man will shoot a low blow. All right, if I'm saying that right. You know, there's certain things men just don't do. You know, but women, they'll do it. All right. All right. They'll talk about your family. You know, they'll you know, they'll switch up what they mean and what they say. You know, just to make you mad. You know, they'll talk about this and that about you when she said she'll never be like that towards you, man. That's a low blow. You know. You know, she'll put you on child support when she said she would never do that. Bang, here she is putting you on child support. You know, shit like that, man. You know, she'll kick you while you're down. You know, and stuff like that, man. I'm gonna read verse 16. It says, "I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman." Verse 17, "The wickedness of a woman changeth her face and darken," or verse 16 again, it says, "I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman." All right, because that's how bad a woman will make your life, man. All right, and that's why the apostles say don't deal with these women, man. All right, you have no reason to, man. What does a woman benefit you when it comes to this truth? Unless she's actually literally benefiting you, like helping you out. You know, she's only gonna want you to do the things of this world, man. Slakia. I should have not gotten kombucha. I've got all these bubbles in me now. She's gonna want you to celebrate these holidays, take pictures, go out all the time, spend time with her, do this with her family, blah blah blah, instead of serving the Lord, instead of giving your time to the Lord. You know. All right. So that's why the apostles say, don't even deal with these women. Shoot, Paul, what did Paul say? He says, I'd rather y'all be like me, roughly paraphrasing, you know. And he meant, I'd rather y'all not be with any women, because Paul, he didn't have a woman, man. All right. He wasn't dealing with any women. All right. He was solely focused on the ministry, on serving Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. Verse 17, it says, the wickedness of a woman changeth her face and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. All right. Okay. You know, women, you know, they start putting makeup on and whatnot to get the attention of other men. All right. What does a woman need attention from another man? All right. She's with that man, your man, her man. That's it. Why she need attention from other men? That's being wicked, man. All right. That's what that means. All right. She changes her face. All right. Verse 18, her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, shall sigh bitterly. You know, he's chilling, you know, and then bang, here she is. Babe, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, you know, see, that's written in the Bible. All right. That's written in the Bible, man. All right. All wickedness, verse 19, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. All right. So all wickedness ain't nothing to a woman, man. All right. A woman will drive you to death, drive you crazy, man. All right. Just because she wanted this, you know, one little thing. I don't know, man. You know, women will. There's no boundaries to how wicked a woman can be. You know, they'll shoot low blows until you die. Not shoot one considerate, not considerate, but what is the high ground? Roughly, Slakia, for lack of better words. You know. They just got no morality, man. You know, for lack of better words, man. You know, all wickedness is but little to a woman. Oh, shoot, what do these women do in Dubai? All right, these Instagram models. What do? They go over there and they get pooped on, man. All right, for money. All right, and they those Dubai men over there, those Muslims. What do? They videotape it. All right, and they share it amongst themselves, man. Look what we're doing to these American women. And they're pooping on them, man. Just pooping in their mouths and whatnot. You know, it's disgusting. You know, and that's just some of the wickedness that goes on over there, man. You know, a woman will sleep with another man's brother and shake it off like it's nothing. You know, like what the hell? You know, a woman will do voodoo and witchcraft on her man. That's wicked as hell. A woman will do literal Satanism on her man. You know, women will poison her man. You know, shit like that, man. All wickedness is but little to a wickedness of a woman. All right. Verse 20, it says, as the climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man. All right. We got you women figured out, man. All right. The scriptures talk about it, man. All right. A wicked wife will not shut up, man. Keep talking and talking as if it's gonna do nothing. No, it's just you're breaking that man. All right. You're making things worse. All right. Verse 21, it says, stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for her pleasure. All right. Why? Because it does not benefit you in being saved. All right. The Lord will not save you because you got this pretty looking woman. That woman will not save you when all hell breaks loose. When 200 million nuclear missiles are on the way to hit your head. A woman cannot save you from that. Only the Lord. That's why you serve the Lord and not these women. All right. Okay, she's got a big butt and big tits. Then what? All right. Okay, you had sex with her. Now what? You didn't get any closer with the Lord. You know, you're not going to be saved because of that. You know. Verse 22, a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach, man. All right. Verse 23, a wicked woman abateth the courage, maketh any heavy countenance. It's like it maketh in a heavy countenance and wounded. It says, and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees. Okay, that's what women can do, man. All right, make you feeble. All right, cause your hair to fall out, cause you to have gray hair, stress you out to the point where you just like, man, I just want to dip, you know. All right, most of these men that leave their families is because of the woman, because she purposely will talk that man out of leaving her. Okay, for whatever reason, man. All right. Okay, and she won't tell you the real reason. All right, because it's gonna embarrass her, man. Okay, she's gonna say, oh, because he was bad, he was evil, he was this and that, when really it was her, because he didn't want to do something that she wanted to do. Okay, it's like he didn't want to do something that she wanted to do. All right, verse 24, of the woman came the beginning of sin, or Eve, and through her we all die. Okay, that's what happens when you give all your strength, or give your strength to a woman, man. She will drive you to death. All right. Why are you having your woman lead you in your life? What is she gonna do with that? She's not a leader. It's like letting your dog do your taxes. You know, it's like having I don't know, have the car drive you. You know, like that's not what a woman is made for. Women are not made to lead. Okay. And it shows in their actions. Women will always talk, they'll beat around the bush, because women aren't like men. Men are straight to the point. I want this and that, all right, and that's it. You know, men don't beat around the bush, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever had a conversation with a woman? It's like, get to the point already, you know, like what the hell? Well, why are we still talking about this, man? You know? Or you just wanted to talk for the sake of talking? You know, like, we'd even talk about anything. Women be having everything to say, but nothing to say. They talk about so much, but it didn't mean nothing. You know, there was no solutions to it. You know, there was no solution to what you said. It was just more questions, more blah blah blah. You know, women really talk to mask their feelings, man. All right. Verse 25, it says, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty, all right, freedom to gad abroad, all right. And letting your women do a girls' night out, go out without your, authority and whatnot, you know. Verse 26, if she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go, okay. If she doesn't want to listen to you, if she's hindering you from serving the Lord, all right. If she's doing nothing but giving you hell, all right, cut her off, man. Leave her, literally, because it's not worth it. She's not gonna save you, man. All right. Okay. Even if you have a kid with her, man, it sucks. It sucks, man. But hey, we're not here to serve your women, to serve women. We're not here to have this pretty nice family. No, we're here to serve the Lord and get the hell up on out of here. And that's by way of the Lord coming and saving us. And he's only going to save those that truly serve the Lord. All right? Doing all that you can to stand in that evil day, roughly paraphrasing. And a woman is not included in that, man. All right? Most of the time, a woman's only going to hinder you and make life hard for you, you know, when it comes to that. All right? Verse 26. Sirach 26, I'm going to end it off. I hit everything. I might get 1 Corinthians 7, but Sirach 26 and 7 says, an evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro. He that hath hold of her is as though he held a scorpion, A drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. All right. You hear that? It says, he that had hold of her is as though he held a scorpion. All right. Imagine you holding a scorpion, man. That thing's gonna bite you, clamp onto you, hurt you. All right. Verse 8. Verse 8, a drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. All right, because she's going to be laying down with every other man, cheating on you, all right, getting into some trouble, spending all your credit card, running up your credit card and whatnot, all right, doing embarrassing shit, you know. And that's when it comes to a drunken woman, man, and a gatherer abroad. I want to go out, hang out with my girls. I want to go out, blah, blah, blah. Verse 9, the whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. What is that talking about? Her eyelids, all right, her mascara and her freaking makeup and whatnot, you know, her eyelash extensions and blah, 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 her cum catchers, that's what they're called. That's originally called. Verse 10, if any daughter be shameless, all right, keep her in straitly, all right, lest she abuse herself through much freedom, liberty, slakia, you know, which that's what that means, you know. So, hey, man, if you got a daughter, keep her straightly. Be on her ass, man. All right, don't be letting her go party with her girlfriends, you know, and whatnot. What are they gonna do? She's gonna end up pregnant. All right, embarrassing you. I heard what your daughter did. Hey, I heard your daughter was being HOE, you know, blah blah blah. You know, because women, they're gonna do what their girlfriends do, and what do women do? They have a hive mind. Oh, I want to get with him, and I want to get with the drug dealer, blah blah blah. And then here they are in trouble, in jail, or strung out on drugs. You know. Verse 10 it says, if thy daughter. Verse 11 it says, watch over an imputed eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. All right, don't be surprised when a woman, you know, even your daughter, a woman does something that you told her not to do. That's just how women are, man. You know. You know that, you know, like the brother said, you know, they're like grown children, man. All right. Verse 12, she will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. All right, well, what's a quiver, man? All right, her vagina, man. And the arrow is talking about the man's rod. All right, she will sit down with any man. All right, she'll have sex with the whole football team. You know, the whole crew. You know, the community girl, man. You know, that's if you let a woman be like that. That's if you don't raise your woman, raise your daughter right, man. If that woman doesn't have a man in her life, if she's not a God-fearing woman, all right. And don't get with these wicked women, these free willy-nilly women, man, mindset women. All right, if she's really easy, you know, you use her and don't abuse her, man. You know, don't be marrying her. Use her as a concubine, you know. But if she really changes and, you know, becomes a, you know, actually listens to you and, you know, changes for you, you know, she's not like that no more. Hey, you know, consider her, you know. But don't give your all into a woman, man, ever. Because is she gonna save you? No, man. So yeah, man, we got these women figured out, man. Thanks to Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right. I'm gonna go down to verse 22. It says, a harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. So don't be a harlot, man. Be a married woman, an honest woman, man. All right, as it says, verse 24. Verse 23, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. You hear that? All right. And if a woman's wicked, she's gonna like wicked men, man. All right. Okay. Who cares if she's pretty? All right, you were with her for a moment, for a good amount of time, and bang, now she's with the man that she told you not to worry about. Hey, she's wicked, man. The Lord took her out of your life for a good reason, man, because she was gonna make your life a living hell, man. So she gave that wicked ass woman to that wicked man, and now she's gonna be wicked against him, with him, and they're gonna be wicked, and they're both gonna fall by the sword somehow, some way. All right. So thank you, Habah Shemiah Shai. Who cares if she was pretty as hell? She was your type, you know. She was your first love. Who gives a damn, man? F her, you know. A wicked woman is given into the portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth Yahweh Shemiah Shai. Okay. So, you know, any righteous woman is with you, man. She's, you know, with you, you know, she's doing by you, you know, serving you, you know, she's doing good by you, man. All right, she's pleased to be with you. Hey, that's one of those righteous women, man. All right, but don't be surprised when she goes off, starts acting wicked. Demons hop on her and bang, she's a totally different woman, man. All right, just don't be surprised, man. All right, simple as that. You know, but still, you know, honor her, man. You know. Verse 24, a dishonest woman contemneth shame, but an honest woman will reverence her husband. All right. Verse 25, a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog. All right. You know, because they act like it. All right. They act like a dog, you know, doing whatever, you know. She that is shamefaced will fear the Lord. All right. Verse 26, a woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him, in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. Okay. Verse 27, a loud crying woman and a scold shall be sought out to drive away the enemies. All right. Verse 28, there be two things that grieve my heart, and the third, that goes into something else, but yeah, Akim, you know, we got you women figured out, man. All right, you know, a woman could make a man's life a living hell, or a woman could also, you know, help a man, make a man stronger, you know, if she's a righteous woman, man. All right, and there's a lot of you women, especially in America, that are not righteous because y'all don't have both of your parents. Okay, Salakia, fucking kombucha. Some y'all weren't raised by both of your parents, especially the man in your household. You know, your father wasn't around, or you were raised by your mom. You know, and mothers, they're not leaders. All right, you know, and then, you know, now this woman grows up, she does whatever she wants. Okay, and this woman's just wicked, man. All right, so I'm gonna use my woman as an example. You know, she had her father and her mother still in her life today. You know, all right, and you know, she you know, they're old too. You know, they're old, and they instilled old-fashioned values upon her, man. You know, and you know, she you know, she's subservient and whatnot. But yeah, man, you know. But here in America, there's a lot of women who are raised by their mom. All right, no father, or little, you know, or a father that wasn't present in her life. You know, and then these women just do whatever. You know, they end up in prison or shit like that. All right, or multiple kids. You know, Section 8, blah blah blah. You know. They're beautiful for once when they're young, and bang, you know, they're overweight, out of shape, ugly, and they got 5 kids minimum, you know, and nobody wants them. You know, wonder why no man wants to settle down and marry them. Okay, it's because you used up your youth. All right, you used up your youth. All right, and you didn't settle down with a man when you're at your best. And a woman is at her best when she's young. All right, when she's at the flower of her age, you know, in her teens, or in early 20s, late teens and whatnot, that's when she's her most beautiful. All right, that's when a man wants a woman, man. All right, he wants a woman at that age because she's more fruitful. All right, she's more beautiful. She's young. Okay, she's easier to have kids with. All right, especially mentally too. She's young. All right, she's more accepting mentally. She'll do what you want, what you want her to do. All right, at that age, because you know a younger person, they believe more. You know, they're more subservient, for lack of better words, man. All right. Okay. Um, Trying to think what else I want to get into. But yeah, man. I was gonna go into why not? All right, 1 Corinthians 7:31. All right, it says First Corinthians 7:31. It says, "And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away." All right, even when it comes to these women, man, use them. All right, don't abuse them, man. All right, if she acts like a concubine, all right, treat her like one. If she acts like a wife, treat her like a wife. All right, don't treat a concubine like a wife. Don't treat a wife like a concubine, man. All right. Simple as that. That's what, when it comes to a woman, that's what I mean by don't, use her, but don't abuse her, man. You know, you know, verse 32, it says, "But I would have you without carefulness, all right? He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord," all right? You hear that? He that is unmarried careth for the things of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, how he may please the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That's why Paul said, "I would rather you be like me, without a woman." That's what the apostles and elders say too. Don't deal with these hyenas. All right, speaking about these black women, don't deal with these women, man. Even when it comes to Latina, the Latinas are out of their mind too sometimes, most of the time, But majority of Latinas, they have their parents in their household, the father in the household, you know, they let their man lead, my woman's, Issachar, she had her parents in her life, and she believes in that, man, to have, the man lead, she gets pissed sometimes when I'm not leading, when I'm goofing off and when I'm not, sometimes when I'm not being a man that I'm supposed to be, man, she gets pissed off at me, man, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, shit, but hey, that's how it is, man. Us men, we're raised in this wicked world, man, where men grow up to be boys, still act like boys, or men that are grown up, raised by their mother and not their father and whatnot, or their father wasn't present in his life either, So, but yeah, don't deal with these wicked women, man. All right, and if you're single, bro, Joachim, listening, if you're a younger brother listening or watching, man, all right, if you don't have no girl, like no wife, no kids, it's a lot, that's what I really mean. No kids with a woman, keep it like that, man. You do not want no kids, man. Hey, it's a beautiful thing. If you do have a kid or a kid on the way, a son or a daughter, hey, love them. It's a beautiful thing. All right, take care of them. All right, treat them, love them according to the ways of the Lord, man. All right, don't dip out on them just because you gotta serve the Lord because you want time to yourself. No, man. All right, raise them, okay, and deal with that woman and those kids at according to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, the ways of the Lord, man. All right, and pray to the Lord that things work out. And hey, the Lord might make things work out. All right, the Lord might change the mindset of that woman to be a righteous woman, and if you raise the child up the way that he should go, like the scriptures say, hey, that child's gonna be a righteous son, a righteous daughter, man. Okay, listening to you, keeping the commandments of the Lord like you. All right, and pray on it, man. And the Lord might give it to you. The scriptures say, ask me anything of me, roughly paraphrasing, and I'll give it to you. For the Lord knows what he needs, or what you need of, man. Roughly paraphrasing. I mixed up two precepts. Um, next verse, I'm gonna end it off. It says, "But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, for he may please his wife." Okay. All right. That's why the apostles say, don't get married. You know, don't deal with these women. Stay single, man. Use them, don't abuse them, man. All right. Because women will eventually have that mindset, that worldly mindset, hop on them and be like, let's go do this. Let's go celebrate Christmas. Let's go take pictures. Let's go to this party. You know, why not? You know, and then here you are giving into her, be like, okay, why not? And then, you know, more and more of it happens, and bang, here you are pleasing your woman more than you are serving Yahweh Shem Shai, man. All right, and bang, you're out of this truth. The Lord kicks you out of this truth somehow, and here you are serving women, and bang, you both are unalived, or you know, your life is a living hell because you gave your strength unto women. All right, I'm gonna end it off right there. I hope this was edifying to the elect. Face the east. Kahala Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bahasham Harakakwadash. Hope this was edifying to the elect out there. All right, until next time. Shalom. Shalom.